And welcome back. Sports of the Day. Madden 2002 series. Continuing. This will be Thursday, May 7th? Yes. Excellent. And here we are from RFK Stadium in somewhere in Maryland. The Los Angeles Life, looking to improve, I believe, to 5-3. This will be the midway point of the season, actually. And we're up 14-0. So I really have a chance. I've become more and more cognizant of the fact that, let's see if we can come up with that. Yeah, that would have been a very hard ball to deliver properly, because it was just a poor snap. Anyway, I've become very cognizant of the fact that I'm recording this on a Wednesday, but releasing it on a Thursday, just because I don't know why. I feel like people aren't going to want to sit through like a full, half of football. A full game, like a full hour-long game. Aren't going to have time to go through that in one day, so I'm giving you the ability. Of course, who am I to deem what your time is spent on? And I'm incredibly grateful that anybody would even spend time on little old me at all. Oh, I just completely bankrupted the right side of the field of any players. So, let's move him back. Get back there, Ike. I'm going to throw to Tiki Barber anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He's got a case that drops. You don't want me to put Rondane back in there, because I will. Don't think I won't. If you'd like to see me just put a full hour of video up for each football game, then I will absolutely do it. Because if that's what people want, I don't know if that's what people want or not. But just tell me. Anyway, actual commentary coming now, rather than semantics. Okay, 3rd and 12. We got deep route going by Hilliard. Toomer, I hate this play. I just figured out that I hate this play. This is the worst play we run. Because everything takes so long to develop, and my offensive line is so bad that I just get sacked. So I'm going to probably go to Toomer, unless Hilliard gets open. So, but I don't know that I'll have time to see whether... see, I have no idea. And he dropped it, which is really the best thing that could have happened. Other than being intercepted. That's the problem, is I have to start from the shotgun, and I have to get out of the way as quickly as possible, so I don't have time for plays to develop. I just have to kind of let them, I have to make them develop. I have to develop them myself, like I work at a Walgreens, circa 2003. It was a photography development joke. Didn't get a lucky bounce there, like I did with the last one. So they get the ball at 20. And I take over on defense. My main goal here is to stop them from scoring touchdowns, because if they scored a field goal, I'm not too worried. Because that means I'm at least getting stops and I can milk the clock on my next drive. I was just passing so much on that drive because I'm trying to score points. I am trying to get 3 touchdowns. Effectively, if I can get to a 3rd touchdown, if I can get to a 21-0 lead, not that I haven't seen better comebacks. See, 95-10 on the rushing yards is proof that the dime, at least, is working. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I hesitate to talk about the play. Oh, actually, what I could do is use some of my future vision and not reference the games played on Wednesday night, but reference the games that will be played on Thursday night. Because that's how we do it. So, Thursday night games of the NBA playoffs. While I'm playing this NFL game, I mean, what am I supposed to talk about the NFL? I could talk about the draft. Talk about my school, who had, which I believe was 3-9, 9th place. Was that Strahan on the? Okay, I thought that was Seahorn. Sorry, I read that wrong. 3-9, 9th place in the Big 12. Had 3 draft picks. Linebacker Ben Heaney to the Raiders, quarterback Ja'Cory Shepherd to the Eagles, and then another safety Dexter McDonald to the Raiders. And we had two really good receivers who actually just got signed to contracts right after the draft ended. And Nigel King and what was the other guy's name? Nick Harwell. Both guys only spent a year here. And we're just, God, if we had somebody other than Charlie Weiss, not Charlie Rice. If we had somebody named Charlie Rice, probably could coach better than Charlie Weiss did. Yeah. Anyway, he's somebody else's problem, and he's very cognizant of the fact that he'll probably never have a job again, which is sad, but hey, you know, it's not my problem. Guy who basically destroyed our football program. So anyway, that was me complaining about Charlie Weiss for the day. Get ready for this fall when all I ever talk about is the fact that we're a terrible team. Well, we're not, and I shouldn't use the term "we" here, because I mean I'm being so negative about it. I don't think they're going to be terrible, actually. I'm kind of optimistic, at the very least, because not knowing at this point in the season, before the season even starts, is a lot better than the feeling I had last year, where it's like, well, we're rebuilding, but we've still got Charlie Weiss. It's like, well, we got a new guy, and I know we're definitely rebuilding this year. With all our, you know, the good senior talent on defense going. A lot of freshman talent, though. And hopefully the guys who are showing that they really could play near the end of the season, you know, the Corey Averys and I have to focus on this play. Hold on, sorry. Let me not finish that sentence. Scrambling out. Boom. There we go. Tumor. Yeah. Oh, whoop. Alright, break the tackle, whatever. Made the sound effect. Supposed to be clean. Three guys couldn't tackle him. Mike Vick was a good trade. It was a good trade, damn it. For those of you just tuning in, we started out the season with Kerry Collins at quarterback. We are ending the season with Michael Vick at quarterback. Anyway, what was I talking about? The NBA playoffs. That's right. The Western Conference semis moved to Tennessee for tonight's game between the Golden State Warriors and Memphis Grizzlies. I remember Dave Letterman bit where after the 2008 championship he challenged all of America, probably more of Tennessee, to find a grizzly bear within the state of Tennessee and send him a picture of it, because he was so enthralled with the fact that Memphis had a basketball team named the Grizzlies. Of course, you know, obviously he knew, and we all knew, that they started out in Vancouver as this the NBA's expansion into Canada, or at least where they tried to expand into Canada. Worked with one team, didn't work with the other. I am still kind of disappointed. Touchdown, by the way, Greg Camella. I am kind of disappointed that a team didn't stay in Vancouver, because there is nobody outside of the Blazers in the Pacific Northwest. Granted, in the late 90s, it was 3 teams in the Pacific Northwest. That Cascadia region. Throwback. Yeah, but now it's just one in the Blazers. 2 teams moved out in increasingly more heartbreaking ways. So if the Blazers ever move, and I don't think the Blazers will move. Granted, I didn't think the Sonics would move, but then they did. Granted, I mean, I don't know that any. The owner right now is Paul Allen of the Portland Trail Blazers, who is also the owner of the Seattle Seahawks, who have been very, very good throughout the entire ownership of Paul Allen. So that's going to be disappointing, being, you know, a Sonics fan in 2008 and being like, well, what about that Allen guy? No. He already owns the team in Portland, the team you hate. But when they voted to move the franchise, Paul Allen and like Mark Cuban, because Mark Cuban, were the only guys to vote against it. So that's your NBA history lesson today on this NFL video. But again, what the hell am I going to talk about in the NFL? LaShawn McCoy called Chip Kelly a racist, and I don't have the tool set to really speak about that at length. Damn, there we go, Jason Sehorn, knocking it down. He only played for the Giants his entire career, actually, Jason Sehorn. He was a very good player. People forget about him because he only played on one Super Bowl team, and he was a kind of I wouldn't say like a quiet guy, but he wasn't like a Jeremy Shockey or a Michael Strahan, or really Shockey's not that kind of the type of player. Okay, well he'll just get beat out by Westbrook there. That was my fault. Damn, that was a perfectly thrown ball by Jeff George. So there you go. Good job, Jeff. What was I talking about? I was talking about how not that many people remember Jason Sehorn, but unlike Tiki Barber and Michael Strahan, he never went on and did like TV and stuff like that. Like a lot of players, famous Joe Namath, famous player, and he lived up being in New York. Sehorn was a celebrity as you are, being a Giants player, but he was never the type of guy to go out and use like, hey, it's me, Jason Sehorn from the Giants, to his advantage. Do we have anybody like that in Kansas City? I mean, I know we have Trent Green in Kansas City, who parlayed a very good career into an announcing job, but I mean, an announcing job is a lot different than doing whatever Michael Strahan. He replaced Regis Philbin, didn't he? Yeah. A whole lot better than an announcing gig that Trent Green's got. I don't know what Priest Holmes does now. I don't know what Tony Gonzalez, he played in Atlanta for so long. I don't know if he considers Kansas City a home anymore. Which makes me really sad saying that sentence. Because if there was one player that everybody, like, unquestionably loved in one city, it was Kansas City with Tony Gonzalez. Because it takes a certain type of player to really embrace Kansas City. You have to be basically drafted or come up here or be from here, or just be like a Tony Gonzalez or a Priest Holmes, or I don't know where I'm going with this ball. Mike Sweeney, somebody like that, somebody who was good and just wasn't like, no, I'll leave. Damn, that was a terrible throw by me. I'll admit that was a bad decision, and stop the clock too. Come on, man. Man here being myself. I'm disappointed in myself. I will hand it off. 3rd 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Hopefully, we're not going to get the first down here. Or no, we don't. I thought we were going to get... Oh, what? I know we stopped the clock, but... Hey, that was weird. I'm just going to go with the halfback toss to the left, because I run to the right all the time. And just not pass the ball. Maybe I should run with Vic. It might also not be a terrible idea. There was a properly executed juke right there by Tiki Barber. That's how you do it. So I think I will run with the man himself, Michael Vick. I'm going to play called Michael Draw. So as I was saying, players who came up in Kansas City and stayed there, there aren't that many. Will Shields was one. Eric, what was his name? Waters was one. Trent Green didn't really come up here, but he came up in Washington and then played in wherever, St. Louis for a year. And then really, he retired with the Dolphins, didn't he? Shit. Ah, that was a terrible idea. What was I talking about? I was talking about Jason Sehorn, and then now I'm talking about how we fumbled. And for whatever reason, I went up and tried to, like, jump there, because I tried switching. It'll take too long to explain, and you don't care. So, here we are. We ended up with the ball. We fell on it. We're going to pretty much properly run the clock out here. Let it get to 2 minutes. So tonight for you guys, tomorrow night for me, as I'm recording this in the past, I got Golden State coming into Memphis and winning, because I don't know how long Conley's going to be able to hold up on his multitude of injuries, which sucks, man, because Mike Conley is so good. And the Grizzlies in the playoffs with Mike Conley and Tony Allen and Marc Gasol, and I mean all those guys, Gravis Vasquez and Vince Carter. Let me repeat that: Vince Carter, Zach Randolph. I don't know how I mentioned Gravis Vasquez before Zach Randolph, but all those guys healthy, that is a team to be feared. And the fact that they could go into the Oracle and steal one is, I mean, that bodes very well for a team that matches up pretty well against Golden State. If they have a bad shooting night like they did on Monday or on Tuesday, they have a hell of a chance. Not a hell of a better chance than I would have given them on, you know, Friday. I mean, I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they'll pull the series out. I think they might pull a game at home out, and then maybe not even. I mean, I said initially on Monday when I wrote the update, I said I thought it would be the Dubs 4-1. That went nowhere. You notice I don't go for holes, but they don't open up, so I intend to have to go outside. And they're just going to let the clock run. All right. That's good. So yeah, I do take the Dubs 4-1. Well, I don't know about that now. Maybe 4-2. Hell, it could go to 7. I wouldn't be surprised if the Grizz went out at home. Well, if the Grizz went out at home, they would win the. It would be 4-2 Memphis. But I forget that Memphis now has home court. So I do think it would go to 7, though. Oh, I should probably punt. That did not go the way I expected it. It'll go out around the 18 or so. So possibly like the 24. 28. Well, I was 10 yards off. That's why you don't get me to do math for a living or predict the weather or something like that. I'm going to go into prevent. No, I'm not. I'm going to go into whatever the game wants me to, because it took me too long. Even though there was no... I mean, there was a play clock, there was no game clock. It's not like it's going to stop them any. Of course they make the catch. Safe, I don't know. I can't find prevent. Prevent, I just know, is everybody go back. Then the other one in the Eastern Conference is what, Atlanta and the other team. Washington, that's right, Washington. Now, Washington, I think, has a fighting chance of pulling this off. But if the Wizards and the Bulls both win, that's going to be a weird Eastern Conference Finals. It'll be a 5 and a 3. Maybe it's just because I grew up in the era of the home court advantage. I grew, you know, my first real cognitive year of watching was like 2004. But the year that defines my fandom in professional basketball, for, you know, lack of a less embarrassing term, would be 2008, when pretty much every series went to 7 games, even like the first round between the I think it was the Hawks and the Celtics, and the Celtics won the championship, but they still went to 7 games against the Atlanta Hawks and like Mike Bibby. So, I don't know. It could be 3-5. It could very well be 1-2 as well. Because I know I romanticize the Bulls a lot, but I do think they're a genuinely good team, one. And then I also think that Cleveland is hurting. And there is no way to just stop Jeff George from just lofting these balls up there. Nobody had a stronger arm than him. As I think it was June Jones said, in reference to him, it takes a whole lot more to be a good quarterback than just having a good arm. A whole lot more. Granted, that could have been somebody else entirely. That could have been Ryan Leaf. That could have been Tim Couch. Sorry. Scott Mitchell. The guy with the Bills. Were they called Robo-Sack, which I thought was Brad Johnson? No. Doug Johnson. There we go. He wasn't. No, Doug Flutie. Who's Doug Johnson? Robo-Sack. Look him up. Rob Johnson. There we go. Rob Johnson. Doug Flutie was his backup, who ended up playing better than him. There we go. We'll knock that down. And Mike Vick can do one last rush in until they call the timeout, in which case I will kneel again. This one will be for a loss, even though it was a great rushing game. God, fuck off. Joe Gibbs or Steve Spurrier, whoever you are. Virtual Joe Gibbs, virtual Steve Spurrier, virtual whoever you are. Esports Joe Gibbs. There we go. Take the knee. They have no more timeouts left to give. And we can just kind of sit and watch. I don't know who New York's coach was at this time. So we'll just let the seconds tick away on an exciting, happy victory. 21-7 over a team that I think is 7-1 in Washington. This was game of the week, as they said. 6-1. 5-3 improved the Los Angeles life. I think second in the division now, possibly third. It's a pretty damn good division, though, outside of Dallas. This is during, like, the 3 years when Dallas didn't matter. Bill Parcells came back, and he was like, hey, it's my team now. I'm going to put Quincy Carter in a quarterback. Go 10-6 and make the playoffs somehow. That was my first introduction to, yes, a bad team can make the playoffs. And that was a bad team, because I think their best player was either Keyshawn Johnson or Dotwin. So, Dotwin. I forget how to pronounce his name. He was good, though. He was like a pretty damn good defensive player. Ready for the next game. Speaking of the Cowboys, they are 1-6. So we will see you next week on another episode of the Sports Today from, will that be in the Hellron Bowl? Sorry. From either Cowboy Stadium. Yep, it'll be in the Hellron Bowl. Stadium with the dumbest name in sports. More like the best name. Slot B. Saving that. Good night. Have a good night. Thank you guys for watching. Sleep well. I don't know. I don't have anything to say at the end of the video. If you have something to recommend me to say at the end of the video, tell me, and I will say it. Goodbye.